Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Acting Inspector General of Police disbands Federal Special Anti-Robbery Squad and Special Tactical Squad, says SARS now to be domiciled in State Police Commands and the FCT. INEC alleges plan by politicians to engage food vendors for vote buying during the forthcoming general elections. National Industrial Court orders service of interim order by substituted means on the CCT chairman Danladi Umar in a suit seeking to restrain the CCT from prosecuting the CJN, Justice Walter Onoge. And at least 20 security personnel killed and many others injured in an attack on a military compound in Afghanistan. ChannelsTV.com has more information for you, and on youtube.com/channelsweb you can watch our videos. You can also watch us on your mobile device via your browser or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. Besides giving you access to news updates on the go, the Channels TV and Channels 24 app has an eyewitness feature that you can use to share pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, tap and swipe to reveal the menu, and then follow the instructions. The Minister of Information and Culture says Boko Haram terrorists and armed bandits have been mobilized by unscrupulous elements to perpetrate massive acts of violence in several states across the northern parts of the country before, during and after the elections. Mr. Lai Mohammed, who made this known at a press conference in Abuja, also asked citizens to be vigilant, law-abiding and ready to cast their votes. He gave an assurance that the federal government will take preemptive measures to ensure that the elections are conducted peacefully. The minister, however, did not confirm if this new information means more security personnel will be deployed in the run-up to the elections, saying no country in the world reveals its intelligence gathering mechanism.
Having realized that their fortunes have dwindled badly ahead of the polls, the desperate opposition is orchestrating widespread violence with a view to truncating the elections, thus triggering a constitutional crisis that could snowball into the establishment of an interim government. Before you accuse the government of crying wolf, let me tell you, gentlemen, that we have credible intelligence that armed bandits and Boko Haram insurgents have been mobilized to engage in massive attacks and other acts of violence in several states across the country, including but not limited to Adamawa, Bauchi, Borno, Benue, Kano, Kaduna, Nasarawa, Plateau, Taraba, and Zamfara. The Benue-based armed criminal group, led by Tewase Akwaza, also known as Ghana, has been commissioned to strike soft targets in Benue, Nasarawa, and Taraba states. In Kano State, a group of notorious miscreants have been mobilized by some prominent opposition leaders to provoke massive chaos before, during, and after the elections.
Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party has responded to the allegations made by the Minister of Information and Culture about the opposition planning to perpetrate widespread violence across the country. While the PDP National Publicity Secretary, Mr. Kola Ologbodiyan, says the allegations are completely false, he also thanks the minister for revealing what he describes as the dark plans of the APC.
PDP calls on Nigerians to hold President Buhari directly responsible for any escalation of violence in our nation. It is imperative to state that the PDP finds the claims of Alhaji Lai Mohammed as irresponsible and ludicrous. It is just a measure for building the ground for framing up and arresting of leading members of the opposition as he has just confirmed our concerns. Severally, the PDP have alerted the nation that the APC and the Buhari presidency, having come to the stark reality of their imminent and disgraceful loss at the polls, have embarked on a strategy to foment crisis in our nation and blame the opposition for it. As allegations arrive that the INEC chairman is being compromised by the All Progressives Congress and the Buhari presidency with offers of huge sums of money, choice property within and outside Nigeria, as well as juicy appointments to his relations as bribes, in return for the rigging of the elections in favor of President Muhammadu Buhari and the All Progressives Congress. This, many Nigerians believe, is the actual reason behind the compromising insistence of INEC to lump together the accreditation of voters as well as voting, a situation that will muddle up the process and pave the way for participation of aliens, underage, and unregistered voters, and also the allocation of fictitious figures in favor of President Buhari and the APC. This scenario is the real reason the INEC chairman is believed to be succumbing to pressures by the Buhari presidency to retain Mrs. Amina Zakari, President Buhari's relation by marriage, as head of the Coalition Center, where she's been positioned to alter genuine results and allocate fictitious figures in favor of President Buhari and the APC.
And while the allegations go back and forth, the Independent National Electoral Commission has asked the PDP to produce any evidence it has about the allegations raised against INEC's leadership. The Chief Press Secretary to the INEC Chairman, Mr. Rotimi Oyekomi, says the kind of allegations from the PDP comes up every election year. He spoke to Channels Television earlier today on the telephone.
I am quite surprised that even after all the INEC has been doing in the past 3 years, after all that we have explained to the public and we have explained to stakeholders, one political party can still say today that we are planning to rig the 2019 general election. INEC is not into the business of rigging elections, and the INEC chairman is not into the business of collecting money. And I always say this, if they have the evidence to show that the INEC chairman received any form of money or he didn't offer such, they should come forward with it. Talk is cheap. If you are alleging that somebody is doing something and you have the evidence, why don't you throw the evidence in the public space? So my own attitude is that Nigerians should please ask questions and be wary of all these allegations coming up at this time. And I think this has been the case in every general election cycle. You recall that when the former INEC chairman was there, Professor Jega, we had all manner of groups coming up with allegations like this. Now it is Mahmoud Yakubu's son. I don't know who's going to be next time when we're having a general election, but it is not helpful at all. I think that with less than 30 days to the general election, we should focus on all efforts to ensure that we organize a credible, fair, and good election, instead of coming up with all these distractions that will lead us nowhere.
Away from issues to do with the elections to education now, and for the 8th time, a reconciliation meeting by the federal government to resolve the lingering strike by federal university lecturers has failed to reach an agreement, as the striking lecturers insist that the federal government must show strong commitment to funding revitalization of universities before the strike can be suspended. A reconvened meeting by the Minister of Labour and Employment today could not resolve the crisis, despite an earlier press release from the Labour Ministry containing a directive from President Buhari to end the strike. Addressing journalists after a meeting with the Minister of Labour and Employment in Abuja, the President of ASU says the issue of university revitalization is so key to the union that it cannot suspend the industrial action, which has already entered its 3rd month. Meanwhile, the Minister of Labour and Employment is hopeful that the strike will be suspended soon, as the federal government has demonstrated commitment by disbursing money through the Tertiary Education Trust Fund to revitalise public universities. President Muhammadu Buhari has removed Dr. Abdullahi Baffa as the Executive Secretary of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund. In a statement signed by the Deputy Director Information in the Ministry of Education, Mr. Bem Gong, Dr. Baffa has been replaced by a former Executive Secretary of the agency, Professor Suleiman Bogoro. Professor Bogoro, who was the TETFUND boss between April 2014 and February 2016, resumed office today. Dr. Baffa's removal is with immediate effect and no reason has been given for the move. Let's cross over to Abuja now, and here's Ibrahim Adra. Ibrahim?
Hello, Ijama. Good to see you. Let's delve right away into legal matters now. A former Minister of State for Defense, Musliu Banikoro, has testified that he was directed to pay the sum of $5 million from national security funds to former Governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose. According to him, he paid the sum of $5 million to Fayose from national security funds. The former minister gave this testimony when he appeared before the Federal High Court in Lagos today, saying the money was paid to the former Ekiti State Governor on the order of the former National Security Advisor, retired Colonel Sambo Dasuki. The counsel to Mr. Fayose, Kano Agabi, applied for an adjournment to enable him cross-examine Mr. Banikoro, explaining that he would need more time to look through his statements before the cross-examination. The presiding judge, Mojisola Olatoregu, adjourned the case to February the 4th, 5th, and 6th, 2019 for continuation of trial. Mr. Fayose and his company, Sportless, are being prosecuted for alleged illegal diversion of funds to the tune of 6.9 billion naira. An Abuja division of the Court of Appeal has fixed Thursday, January the 24th, for hearing of the suit filed by a team of lawyers on behalf of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onode, seeking to stop his trial at the Code of Conduct Tribunal over alleged non-declaration of assets. At the hearing of the suit led counsel, that is, to Justice Onode, Mr. Adegboyega Owomolo, informed the court that they have challenged the jurisdiction of the Code of Conduct Tribunal to try Justice Onoge, but the tribunal insists on proceeding with the trial on the 22nd of January. He therefore prayed the court to grant an interim order of injunction restraining the tribunal from proceeding with the trial. Lawyer to the federal government, Mr. Omonua, however, objected to the application on the ground that there are 3 substituting orders which are yet to be vacated from a federal high court, the National Industrial Court, and an FCT High Court restraining the tribunal from continuing with the trial. Well, time for break now. When we return, International Monetary Fund cuts its global growth forecast for 2019, cites trade tensions, rising U.S. interest rates, and weak European economy. Do join us again.